skater Tony Hawk. Tony, good morning. How are you, my friend?
Hey, good morning. I'm good.
Doing good despite Trey just coming on and leading off by accusing you of being old. Tony, I'm not going to lie.
You know what? At this point, I've crossed over from worrying about being considered old because that's just a fact that I am old. But now I've kind of crossed over to the other side where it's like, hey, that old guy still skates.
There you go.
Yes, exactly.
That is true. There is an impressive part to that, and I don't know, that old guy still skates and is still an icon for a lot of us that grew up of a certain age. Tony, I'm curious because we know we got the announcement not too long ago. You're bringing back Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 in 4K, remastering and all this stuff. What brought this on? What brought this idea up of remastering a couple of the greatest games I've ever played?
Honestly, it's the fans. I mean, I would, I wanted to do it, but I got so much feedback from fans over the last, I'd say 5 years, just pleading to bring these titles back, and finally had a conversation with Activision about it. And they said, well, we've actually had some success bringing, remastering old titles, so let's do it. And off we went, and I'm super excited. They put the right team on it, Vicarious Visions, and everything I've seen from them, especially now as we're getting into the late stages, is way better than I imagined.
And listen, I'm sure there's no doubt it's going to be a hit, but go back in time to when you first came out with Tony,
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Pro Skater, the first one, and just how much trepidation you may have had, or did you think it would be as successful as it was when the first one came out?
Well, I had no trepidation. I was super excited because I played video games my whole life. I mean, I grew up as an arcade kid, so Pac-Man, Missile Command. I had ColecoVision. And so when I got the opportunity to work on a video game that is the concept of skating, I was all in. But to answer your question, I didn't really think it would be such a hit. I thought it would be popular among skaters and maybe the X Games crowd, and sort of that would be the end of it. Once they told me that we were going to do a sequel, that's when things kind of shifted.
Listen, so there's been a sequel, and now there's a rebranding
Yeah,
of all of them going forward. Are there things in the new game that are going to blow people's minds in sort of a visual way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everything is for the new platforms and designed as such. So everything's in 4K. The motion, the graphics. I mean, down to how the bushes will wisp in the wind, and it's insane. I never imagined that we could have something looking so realistic and base it on the very first game. I mean, all the maps are to scale. So you have all the classic levels like the Warehouse and Downhill Jam. San Francisco, and so I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised when they see, truly how vibrant it is. And then we also have a whole new creative, well, not new, it's not a new concept, but it's much deeper in terms of Create a Skater and Create a Park, like we did with CHBS 2.
Tony, I'm curious, what do you think gave it such broad appeal? You mentioned when you thought it was coming out, thought it would just hit with the skate crowd. Why do you think it ended up blowing up the way it did?
I think there's a bit of right place, right time. Skating was on the rise right around then. The X Games were sort of a staple in American households, and kids were gravitating towards skating. But I think what happened was video gamers picked it up because they realized it's really fun to play regardless if you skate or not, and you can keep coming back to it and creating your own challenges. And I think that's the tipping point, is that even if you finish the game to completion, you can go back and figure out new challenges or create new challenges with your friends or play online, and all of that just kept people coming back to it.
Talking to skateboarding legend Tony Hawk with us here on Golic and Wingo. Tony, I'm curious, when you get that, and you mentioned no trepidation, you grew up on video games. As you got it, did you only play as you, or did you have a favorite, favorite skateboarder, someone else that you played with in the game when you went to it?
Are you asking if I play with myself?
Yeah.
Your words, not mine. Listen, they can fire me here. They can't fire you.
I actually, what I did was I would play as my character because I knew all my special moves. And ultimately, if I ever went anywhere, kids would want to challenge me. To this day, they still do. And I can get the highest score with my character because I know the special tricks the best.
Oh, man, there's got to be no better feeling than having some kid step to you and absolutely wearing him out with yourself.
That
in
is
a video
so cool.
game.
So in other words, Tony Hawk was Quinnen Williams before Quinnen Williams.
That is
absolutely
absolutely amazing. We're talking to Tony Hawk here, and obviously you still have an effect on the younger generation as well. Talk about that viral video that came out about the FedEx driver talking to the kid in Georgia, a kid named Cooper, that wanted to send you a package, and kind of explain that.
Well, I was getting all this chatter on social media that you got to see this TikTok, and I started a TikTok a few years ago, but quickly realized that I just don't have the time to devote to it because I'm really active on the other platforms. So my account was dormant on there, but people kept telling me, you got to see this TikTok video. And so finally I went over there and saw what was happening. And so I think it was literally my third TikTok video ever was a reply to the kid or to the FedEx driver. And I just said, yeah, man, I'd love to send you my board. And it was funny, though, because I started sending direct messages to Mikhail, who's the FedEx driver, and he kept asking me for my FedEx account number because he needed it to send the board. So, I mean, it was all super fun, but there was a reality base to it where it was like, well, someone's got to pay for this, you know?
That is true. You know what? I feel like I'm sure you stepped up and probably did the right thing in that instance. What a cool story, though, of what the internet can do on its best days. All right, Tony.
Well, I'm hoping that they receive. I literally FedExed my skateboard, and then I FedExed 2 complete skateboards to him and his brother yesterday. So I'm really hoping it gets there today, so I can find out what they think about it.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.